about transmissions.
Okay, so I did my PLP on transmission, which is basically the gearbox in a car. So I chose this topic because I've always been really interested in cars, and the transmission was one of the things that I could never really understand. It was really complicated, and whenever I just tried to learn about it, I always just ended up kind of feeling stupid. So I really wanted to just learn really more about it, and I was just interested in mechanical things. So some transmission terminology is just like some stuff that's kind of like scientific, but we kind of hard to understand. Like input, or the input shaft is just like it's kind of like the shaft that the engine would drive. So on this model of the transmission, it would be right here. And then the output shaft, which is what would be connected to the wheels, would be right here. A gear ratio is just like the ratio between, I guess, two gears. Like for this transmission, I'm pretty sure that in first gear, it would I'm not for sure, but I'm pretty sure the gear ratio is 1 to 3, which basically means that the input shaft would have to spin 3 times for the output shaft to turn once. And basically what this does is it will make it have more power, but it'll spin slower. So a transmission is just a machine that lowers or increases a machine's torque, also known as strength and force, and it can make the speed higher, but when it does that, then it also lowers a machine's torque. So transmissions are used in a lot of things, pretty much like anything that would need to go fast or go up hills. Like it would be used in cars. It's used in trains, wind turbines, agricultural equipment, industrial machines, construction equipment, mining vehicles, anything that would need to go up in hills with high power or just go fast. We would pretty much use a transmission. Lawnmowers actually don't use a transmission for the wind. So manual transmissions, they're also known as like stick shifts. It's, like it has like 3 pedals, the clutch, everything. It's basically a transmission where you change from different gear ratios yourself, just to put it out there. So and they're not really as common as the automatic transmissions, which are just done automatically. Like how many people in here, their parents drive a manual? So not really as much as automatics. So they're uncommon, but usually some people just drive them because they think they're more fun. They have, they're more reliable. I don't know. But so basically, in this transmission, like it says right here that it's in 5th gear. It's actually kind of a weird picture because right now it's actually in 1st gear. So just try to ignore that. But it's the best picture I could find. And like right up there would be the shifter thing, which is basically how you switch from different gears. Like the reason that you need to switch gears in a car is because like the same reason you would need to switch gears in a bike. If you do have a bike with different gears, you wouldn't want to go up a hill in a high gear because you wouldn't get very much power. And same thing goes for a car. You wouldn't want to go faster in a lower gear because you couldn't go as fast. And so basically, and manual transmissions are actually completely different from automatic transmissions, not just in the way that they change gears like themselves, but they actually work way differently. So in this picture, like right here would be the input shaft, and here would be the output shaft, and this would be a counter shaft basically. So all of these gears are connected to the shaft, and all of these gears are kind of loosely connected to the shaft, and they're spinning at their own speed, except for this gear. This gear is connected. So what will happen is the engine, which would be like right over here, it would power this gear, and then this gear would power to this. So this would all be spinning at the same speed, and then this gear to this gear would be they would be spinning at the same speed. And this gear would be spinning a little bit slower. This gear would be spinning the slowest. This would be 1st gear. This would actually be 5th gear / reverse, and I don't really know why it's over there, but it is. And so what happens is these things called the synchronizers, when you move these, it will basically, this thing, the synchronizer, is locked on to the shaft, to the input shaft. So what happens is these will slide in between the different gears, making the gear spin at the same speed as the output shaft, since all these gears are spinning at different speeds, basically. And so, basically when like the clutch, which would be the thing like the third pedal, usually farthest to the left, when you push that in, it kind of like, it basically makes it disconnects the transmission and the wheels from the engine. So it's kind of like being in neutral. And when you do that, then you slide those things in with a thing it's a synchronizer mechanism. Like there would be two kind of like pad-like things that are also like gears, and the one like right here farthest to the left, the bigger gear would be right here like this. That would be the pad, and there would be another one that would not be spinning to the gear, but it can't move this way, but it can move this way, and it's almost like barely touching the other one, but it's not. So what you do when you slide the synchronizer in is you push this pad on the other one, making it spin at the same speed, kind of like braking it and slowing it down, which would make the gear spin at the same speed, but it's not like locked on yet. And then the synchronizer would slide over both of those, and then you would let off the clutch, and then you would have power restored. So if you didn't change gears with the clutch, then there would still be power going to the shaft, and this gear would try to brake the other gear, and it wouldn't stop. It would just keep going, and then you couldn't shift, and it would make a weird grinding noise. So basically that's kind of how a manual transmission works. And so automatic transmissions, they work completely differently than manual transmissions. I already mentioned that before, but they are incredibly hard to explain. I had to go on YouTube for half an hour looking at videos on how they work. They're just really hard to explain. So they don't even have a clutch on them. It's kind of weird, but to explain them really simply is that they use a thing called a planetary gear set, which is like one big gear in the middle, then either 4 or 3 smaller gears surrounding it, and one big like kind of cylinder-like thing surrounding that, and the outer planet gears, which they would call them, would be connected to something called a planet carrier, and basically those things would all connect to the next like planetary gear set. And kind of how it would work is if you had like a 4-speed, then this one would spin faster than this one would spin faster than this one would spin faster than this one. And what the automatic transmission does is it uses like a little thing to lock on to the different like spinning thingies to make it go slower or faster. And a major difference about the automatic transmission from the manual transmission is that you don't actually have to use the little clutch thing, which kind of has the same use. It's called a torque converter, but it works way differently. And I also had to go on YouTube for half an hour just for that part. So, but basically, it works the same thing as a clutch. It only uses it when you come to a stop, but you don't have to use it when you switch gears. So basically, that's how the automatic transmission works. Now, not all automatic transmissions work that way. Like my mom's car, for example, is an Acura MDX. It actually uses like a manual transmission, like a stick shift, as I mentioned earlier, but it's kind of automated. So it knows when to use the clutch and when to switch gears, and it actually has 9 gears, which is really crazy. So not all transmissions are like that. There's other transmissions, but they all really have the same use. They all just try to lower a machine's torque and speed, and basically they just do the same thing. There are CVTs, continuously variable transmissions, which probably the simplest type. There's a picture right here. Like there's a belt, and like these things would slide up and down, and it's kind of like slanted here and here too. You don't see it, and it'll make the belt get bigger on one side. They'll get smaller on the other, so this would be the input, this would be the output. So just kind of stuff like that. There's a stick shift that has been automated, like my mom's car, for example. There is double clutch transmissions, which is basically like two manual transmissions on top of each other, and they work the same way, but they only have like one clutch. And a major difference is that there's no power loss when you switch gears. So that's the major difference between them. And those you can't actually drive as a stick shift because you'd have to have two of the shifters and two clutches, and you would have to have one of them on like a clutch. Like you have to, it would just be, none of us have 4 feet and none of us have 4 hands, so that would be really hard to drive. So they don't actually come that way. But there's and then there's like the paddle shift ones, which can be in a planetary gear set or in the normal stick shift, which is like on your steering wheel. There's like 2 little flappy paddle thingies, and usually the one on the right is the one for up a gear, and the one on the left is for down a gear. And you don't have to take your foot off the gas pedal or do anything with it, but you basically just press one of them to go up a gear, and then press the other one to go down a gear. And yeah, that's probably the easiest type of thing to use. Usually they use them in racing cars, I mean, NASCARs don't actually use them because, I don't know, they just want to like stick to the old time or whatever. I don't really know why, but usually like Lamborghinis, Bugattis, all of those crazy, fancy, expensive cars would usually use the paddle shift. So this is a video of my 5-speed transmission, which is right here. It's a 5-speed transmission with reverse. This is built out of Legos. It doesn't really have a clutch, and it kind of resembles how a manual transmission would work. It doesn't really have a counter shaft or anything, but it uses the same construct mechanism as the thing, these things would be kind of like the synchronizers would slide in between the gears. So it's sort of the same in that way. And I can show you the view of just the actual gears changing. So right now it would be in reverse. This would be the output shaft, and you can kind of see this thing like sliding in between the different gears. So reverse would just mean like it travels. This would be the motor, and it would travel through here, go to here, and then again, you can't really see it. It looks exactly like that. It was behind this one. Would power this, and then this would power this. So basically like that.
Liam, remember when you're pointing at the screen, we can't see you though.
I always keep doing that. I don't know why.
Okay.
So yeah, it kind of goes through just like this. You can't really see it, but there's a gear that looks exactly like this. It's right behind there, and it would kind of go through there and eventually come to the output shaft. And now it's in first gear, which is on the same shaft. Now this has moved to here, and it goes from this gear to this gear, and these 2 gears are connected right here, and then this would go to the output shaft. So now it's in second gear, which is a 1-to-1 gear ratio, which means that the output shaft would spin at the exact same speed as the input shaft. Okay, so now third gear, which is just like a little bit faster, kind of a coasting gear mostly. It would be used for in cars. Fourth gear is just like, and then there's fifth gear, which is just the fastest gear. Like you're on the freeway, just you need a fast gear. I think it's actually like a 3-to-1 gear ratio, which would mean that if the input shaft spins once, then the output shaft would spin 3 times. Now, most manual cars nowadays have 6 speeds, but that would be really hard to make with Legos. So this one I only made with 5-speed. And now it's in neutral, which is actually different than using the clutch. Like, the engine is still connected to the transmission if you were to look at a normal manual transmission, but it's not necessarily connected to the wheels. So that's just neutral. And then, if I go over here, this is the video of me switching gears. Right now it's in reverse. Got the shaft right here. That's in first gear. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. And then fifth gear. And neutral. So, for my community connections, I interviewed Robbie Alvarado, a Honda service manager, and also my grandpa. So, the questions I asked him was like, how many types of transmissions does Honda make? And they actually make all the kinds that I mentioned here. They make the planetary gearbox one, which is the normal automatic. They make the like automated stick shift kind. They make the double clutch, they make the CTVs, they just pretty much make every single kind you could pretty much imagine. I also asked him, what are the most reliable transmissions? And he said that that CTVs are just have a lot of wear and tear, which just means that you need to get them replaced really easily, so they're not really very reliable, but he said that automatic transmissions, you need to like repair them less, but they cost more when you do it, and it's usually just like a fluid change, which is like the oil in a transmission. For a manual transmission, it could cost, it wouldn't cost very much. You'd have to get them serviced more, and to like get a new transmission, it's like really pricey. It could cost between $1,500 and $3,000. So it costs a lot, and that's also kind of how much it costs to repair. They are a lot of money. Any questions? Max?
Did you just come up with an idea to make that 5-speed gear?
Oh no, this was from a kid. I tried to make a. They're really hard to make with Legos on your own. I spent hours on that, and it wouldn't work. So I just built a kit. Ian?
I like how you put your video, and I like how you have your transmission feed, and your dog photo.
Oh yeah, my dog walked by. Okay.
I thought it was
Okay. Lisa, I guess?
I can like imagine like 5 gears in reverse gear, but how would like 6 gears look like?
It would basically kind of look like another one of, pretty much just another one of these. Another little red thing right here, and a 6-speed gear, and probably the reverse would be moved like right here to where the 6 is. Read.
How do you know so much about this, the transmission?
I just did a lot of research.
Yeah.
Honestly, I did a lot of research. Okay, Tara.
How many hours did you spend?
I think I didn't have a slide I made. It was kind of a mistake, but I think I spent around I think if I would probably say like 16 hours or something. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Ethan? So in your videos, I see you use the motor you have.
Yeah.
Can we see it like
Oh yeah.
working?
Okay. It kind of looks like this. Pretty normal. Okay, Luca.
It's an appreciation. I appreciate that you put so much effort into this project and did a lot of research, because when I saw it, I was crazy how much research you had.
Okay. Becca?
I think it's really evident that you did a lot of research, and I appreciate how
Maddie?
I appreciate how you it said how you spent a lot of time on it, and I appreciate how you added back
My mom has a stick shift too, and I was wondering, like, do you need to go to neutral to like break it, or can you just break
Well,
it?
to break, you could actually, like, you could put it. It's not really good for your car to put it in neutral. It costs a lot. It causes a lot of wear and tear. Like, it won't like make any weird noise or anything. But it's usually better to do a thing called downshifting, which is where when you come to a stop, you push in the clutch, and even if you still are in first gear, then you put it in second, then you let off the clutch, kind of like a little bit, and then push in the clutch completely far down. Put it in first gear again, and then when you come to a complete stop, put it in neutral and let off the clutch. Max?
I appreciate how you picked a topic that you enjoyed.
Let's give Liam a round of applause. I appreciate you because you gave me so much to think about. I was inspired by talking about how you're talking about the ratios and the connection, the gear ratios,
Yeah.
and how we might relate that to our working map too. So I was thinking about that. So we're going to transition to have Jack up here. I'm wondering if you have questions about transmissions and engines and cars. Like what questions are inspired by Liam's presentation today?